Welcome to the Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, where you get multifamily investing made real. Learn from top players in the real estate investment world as they share their secrets with you and discover proven strategies on apartment investing that actually work. To learn more about Wheelbarrow Profits, visit jakeandgino.com, your one-stop shop for everything multifamily. Now to your hosts, Jake and Gino.
Hello, everybody. This is Jake Stenziano, host of the Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, the chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
How are you doing, Stenziano? Doing good.
Always making it happen, big man. Today's guest is Chris Clothier. Chris is a partner at Memphis Invest, a turnkey property management firm based in Memphis, Tennessee. He is also an experienced real estate speaker and addresses small and large audiences of real estate investors and business professionals nationwide several times each year. Many of our listeners have probably already read some of Chris's columns on Bigger Pockets, as he is a contributing columnist for the site. So without further ado, Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Let's get this kicked off. Tell us a little bit about your real estate background, how you got started, the family business, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got started by accident. Many of your listeners they may remember a guy named Carlton Sheets who,
yes.
Yeah, old school, used to have the lots of late night infomercials. And I actually was in the other family business, which was grocery arbitrage, grocery diverting brokerage firm. And I was in Denver. I could not sell my home back in Tennessee because it was a very particular special kind of property, lots of land, old, antebellum style home that was far out from the city. I was having a lot of trouble selling it, and I was in Denver at the time, could not buy a home in Denver, so I was living in a hotel. And late night infomercial, I see Carlton Sheets, I order it, have it delivered to the hotel. I don't even go through 2 weeks of reading his material before I get an offer on my house back in Tennessee. And the problem was it was one of those offers where they had to sell their house first. And I told my realtor, I said, find out where their house is located. Let's start there. And found out that their house was a block away from a university there in Memphis. It was about half the price of mine. I called my banker at the time and said, if I buy this house, can I still qualify for a home in Denver as well? They said yes, they qualify me to do two at a time. So essentially, I bought their house near the university to use as a rental property, allowed them to buy my house out on the land, freed up my capital for me to be able to buy a house back in Denver. So I got creative, wrapped it up. I owe Carlton Sheets all the credit for starting me off. That was a creative deal that I kind of learned from him. And off and running I was, man.
Wow.
Hey, I just want to say that it's good that you're ordering that kind of stuff at the hotel versus the other kind of stuff people usually do. So hats off right away to you, man. Nice job.
Well, that was only one. Well, no, never mind. We're good.
Fair enough. PG-13. Yeah. Keep it on. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Dude, my head's still hurting. I'm trying to get the mechanics of that one. And, the no money down deals, they're all over the place, bro. I mean, we've done several. We're up against one right now. We're looking at 64 units, going to get a line of credit from the bank, and we're not going to put any money into this deal. It was a foreclosure. So everyone out there, real estate is all about thinking outside the box. There's a box. Think outside the box. That's the only way we make money. You want to expand on that, Chris, for me?
Yeah, I just, and it's so funny that you say it like that. I often tell people, think like there is no box. I mean, there's literally, if you believe you can do it and you believe there is a way, then your mind really opens up and you start exploring different things. I essentially traded houses with somebody. That's all I did. They needed a solution for their growing family, and I needed a solution to get to buy my house in Denver. And I didn't really set out to be an investor, but like so many, I was interested. Real estate was an interesting subject to me. I had a completely different business, and my focus was completely elsewhere. But it was something I was interested in, and all I did was, as you just said a second ago, I had a problem, and I had a buyer that had a problem, and all I needed to do was figure out the solution. Once I figured out the solution, everything fell into place. I became a real estate investor just like that.
So can you talk to me a little bit about what you did before real estate? What kind of businesses you were involved in?
Yeah. My family, our background is in retail. So we owned grocery stores in Texas. My father did. I started bagging groceries when I was 11. Bagging groceries, stocking shelves, all those good things. Was raised in a very entrepreneurial environment. Later, my father started for lack of a better way to put it, a grocery brokering company. And I was, again, worked my way in there all through college. That was the first time I was introduced to wholesaling anything, arbitrage of anything. So we would buy complete truckloads of different grocery items and sell them in one market of the country and sell them in another market of the country for a markup. Really, it's where we developed this whole idea of rather than selling what you have, finding a client and finding out what they want, what they need, and then going out and finding it. Once you develop a market, then all you have to do is develop the product for it. That's the way that our family company today, Memphis Invest. That's the way we started. We just took the exact model we used in the grocery industry and applied it to houses. That's all we did.
Wow, I love that. So explain to me why real estate. I mean, what drove you to real estate?
It's like a lot of people, man. It just seemed like something that was it was sexy. It was when you knew people that were investing in real estate, I always received this idea that they were highly successful, they were highly self-motivated. Whether they were telling me a story or not didn't really matter. I viewed them as, hey, they went out and they did something that was different. They weren't a lawyer, they weren't a doctor, they weren't an accountant. They weren't like me sitting behind a desk selling groceries. They had this sense of almost like this freedom and this you've done it yourself kind of thing. I was always attracted to that. It didn't always end up being that way. Let's be real clear. Especially as I got into actually actively investing in real estate. But that's why I got into it. I was very successful in the grocery industry, had not a lot of money, but I had means, I had capital, I had the ability to invest in real estate. So in my after hours, after I was done working the grocery job, I studied and tried to learn about real estate as much as I could. And that probably very similar to the story of a lot of people out there. Just it was something that intrigued me, and I taught myself how to do it.
Can you dive into your model, what you guys do at Memphis Invest, how you guys make money?
Yeah. It's funny because this is a family business, just like all the rest of them, but we all got into real estate investing separately. My father was doing very creative deals, no money down deals in Memphis. He was buying houses subject to their existing loans and was very successful at it. And he began to speak at local RIAs and explain to other investors what he was doing and how he was doing this. And that eventually he started buying homes in the traditional way, using local banks and financing, or he might borrow money from a hard money lender and then refinance all of his cash back out on the backside, maybe even take some cash home on a deal. I mean, he was doing some very, very creative investing in Memphis. And this is in the very early 2000s. I became one of his first out of town investors because I was in Denver. My older brother, who was down in South Florida, was also had a successful grocery company, his own, and he's looking to invest in real estate as well. So he and I began to buy houses back in Memphis, telling our dad, you can find them, you can renovate them, you can place them with your management company. I'm a passive investor at that point, just put my money to work. Why don't you find houses for us? And that is exactly how Memphis Invest started, with passive investors who were intrigued by my father's story. They might have been intrigued by my story, my brother. They looked to us for guidance. They saw that we were investing passively, and my dad just began to provide the service. That's all he was doing. He could find the houses. He had the renovation crews. He had a management company that would manage everything for us. So he just, became the conduit for it. Today they call it turnkey real estate, which is I'm sure you guys know is a generic term that doesn't really mean much anymore. It's so overused, but that's really what it was. We had the money. We had investors in Denver and South Florida that had the money. My father had the ability with the houses. That's how Memphis Invest originally started back in the very early 2000s.
Wow, you made an excellent point a few minutes ago off camera, off mic, about really focusing on a niche. Can you expand upon that? Because Jake and I love multis. We would not buy a single family home if you gave it to us for free. And I'm sure you wouldn't buy a multi if they gave it to you for free. So I love the point you made about that.
Yeah, look, to be clear, we're doing 700 single family homes a year now. And we buy them in Memphis and in Dallas and in Houston.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, we manage 4,200 single family homes for passive investors. With that kind of volume and that kind of a history and a track record behind us, we get asked all the time, why are we not doing turnkey multifamily? And why are we not doing turnkey commercial buildings? We have such a following and such a demand for what we do. Why are we not expanding out? And that question is usually asked by people that haven't been down the road we've been down, which is, we know exactly what we do and how to do it well. And we know we could make money doing multifamilies. We know we could make money doing commercial deals, but it's not our forte. It's not what we know best. And we're not going to get derailed by the shiny object syndrome, by looking for the next thing out there. And we mentor new investors and we mentor new entrepreneurs that are getting into the real estate space. And that's the biggest thing that we mentor them against, because everybody wants to do everything. You have so many people, so many real estate entrepreneurs that they want their hand in everything. They think that they can develop all kinds of different silos of income, and I can do a little bit of this and do a little bit of that. And the reality is that we tell them all the time, do one thing and be the best. Do one thing that you are so passionate about that no one can touch your product or your service. You have no competition. And until you reach that point, quit talking about and thinking about all these other things. And we learn that, from ourselves, our own lessons. So we stick with what we do really, really well, which is these upper end single family homes. And we stay away from the low end homes. We stay away from multifamily, and we stay away from commercial because of that.
I want my hand in every piece and every part of multifamily. I want to be as vertically integrated. I want to be so in control of every piece of my business right now. Mastered that before, or even if I ever move on, because you're totally right. Everyone getting started, they want to be a wholesaler, they want to be a flipper, they want to be, a rehabber and all this. And it's like, man, why? What is it that you want? What is the vehicle that's going to get you to where you need to go? I think that's the question that people need to answer for themselves. What's the objective, and what's going to be the best vehicle to get you where you want to go? So, and
what's really funny is that I deal with passive investors, all right? And almost every one of them entered the realm of real estate investing to be active. They all thought that they wanted to flip or wholesale, and some of them may do a little bit on the side, but the reality is that they realize that, just like you guys, we're professionals. Mm-hmm. This is what we do day in and day out. We know it as well as an accountant knows numbers and a airline pilot knows the controls of a plane. We know this inside and out. And many investors, their minds are filled with all the different things they want to do instead of just really, really concentrating on one. And what my client, what we find is that ultimately in the end, they say, I want to invest in real estate, but I don't want I guess the easy way to put it is the responsibility of actually doing all those things. I want to hire the best and the professional to help me, and I'm going to go do what I do best. So,
well, your value, I think, is to have investors have that paradigm shift where they're not landlords; they're actually managing an asset, not managing a house. So you've got that's on you to teach them, to tell them, listen, you're looking at a cash on cash. You're not looking at a toilet. You have to buy these properties and start accumulating them and start accumulating assets, not houses. So that's on you. And I think you've probably done an excellent job with 700 houses in the last year, right, Chris?
Yeah, let me tell you, one of the big things I caution investors on, especially in the current environment that we're in. And how much noise. There's just so much noise out there for passive investors and that word I said a second ago, turnkey real estate. I tell them all the time that you've got to focus right now on return of capital. Like you have to be in this environment. If you're going to be a passive investor, you've got to be looking at deals and judging them by, if this is a 5, 7, 10-year hold for me, what's the likelihood of me getting 100% of my capital back first? And then once that's going to come down to the market you choose, the team you choose, the assets that they're doing business with. Once you have that down, then maximize your rate of return. Maximize your return on capital. So many investors, they're getting, especially today, man, they're attracted to these high returns, the glossed over version of what a return is, and cash on cash, all this kind of stuff, and they just don't they don't pay attention to the details, how the sausage is made, and they end up thinking that, they end up losing. They end up losing their money. They end up losing their investment, and they
not even getting the initial capital back, right? Start. Yeah.
Nope, capital's gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The day you buy it, the capital's gone. So.
Mm-hmm. Chris, how long did it take you to become, I guess, an expert in the space? Because people are always asking me when I start, and they get really frustrated. The first 6 months of them starting multifamily education, they think they're going to go out and buy a 50-unit property. I'm like, guys, it's going to take you 3 to 5 years. I mean, you go to college for 4 years. At least give yourself 12 months to learn the space. You have to spend money in your education. That's the first thing. People don't spend money in their education are going to get stuff for free. And you know what happens? You get stuff for free. You get free stuff. You have to really dive in. How long do you think it took you to really become an expert in the space?
Well, let's be clear. I'm experienced in this space, okay, and that's a key to this. That's what experts are. They have a lot of experience, and so I've lost a ton of money, guys, as an investor. I've made so many dumb decisions, and those are all learning. That's all part of learning what you're doing. But I still learn to this day. I mean, it took me. I've been doing this now, investing for 14 years. Since I bought my first investment property, and I'm still learning. I still surround myself with people that I respect and people that I listen to their advice. I still pay to go to educational conferences to listen to people that I admire in whatever their particular niche is. Now, it's not always single family. Sometimes it's just the real estate space in general, or it might be multifamily. But I want to learn, because maybe I don't want to do it, but I want to know the ins and outs of it. So I don't. As an expert, I think that with the help of my father and my brothers, that all of us combined are absolutely an expert to listen to when it comes to how to invest passively in single family. But none of us has stopped learning. So I can tell all of your listeners, it'll take you years to become an expert and to be really, really confident with the word no. You know what I mean? That's when you know you're an expert, when you can say no, when everything says do this and yet you're willing to say no to it. And then the day you think you're an expert is the day you stop learning, and the day you stop learning is the day you need to get out of it. And so, you know what I mean?
If you're not growing, you're dying.
That's right.
Yeah, sometimes I hate that word expert, because the problem with experts is they don't like to look outside the box. They think they know it all, and they don't want to grow. You listen to all these pundits on CNN and FM, Fox News. They're all experts, but what do they really know at the end of the day? They know what they knew 20 years ago, and they're getting eaten alive now, because look what happened to the media. The media thought they knew, but they didn't know. They're not expert. They are experts, but they just lost that learning. So that constant learning is learn, do, teach. That's what we're supposed to do in life. We're supposed to learn the space, then we're supposed to do it, and then we teach it. And as teachers, I think you learn more than when you were learning it yourself, because you're out there. You actually have to go out and do all the research, and you have to put yourself out on the line, and you actually interact with other people in the space. And I think that's part of the growing of this whole I guess journey that we're on.
That's great, man. I agree.
How do you pick your markets? I mean, you said you're in Dallas, Memphis, and where else? Dallas, Memphis, where else?
Houston.
Okay. So how do you choose those markets?
Well, not very scientifically.
Where the deal's at?
Yeah. So look, I was born and raised in Dallas, and my family has had a lot of experience. That's where my father owned the grocery stores, was in Dallas.
Okay.
We have a lot of history in Dallas and in Houston, and I moved to Memphis at the age of 14 back in 1986. So, and lived there pretty much ever since. Went to Denver for a little while, but beyond that, these were markets that we knew. So we didn't try and reinvent the wheel. We didn't try and come up with some crazy algorithm that told us, what market was going to do what. We went where we knew, and that was, I think, vital for our success, because I think we've done really well in those three markets so far. Memphis and Dallas being the ones we know the best, so they're our biggest markets. And Houston being the one that we know the least, so it's the smallest concentration of homes that we have. But we're doing about 50 to 60 a year down there in Houston, and we're looking now at markets like Oklahoma City. We're looking at markets like Little Rock. We've looked at Nashville. Basically within our footprint, down there in the southeast quarter of the country, Texas over. And I don't know where we'll go next, but what we're looking for is lower median home prices. So median home prices generally below 100 to 150, that have good housing stock, high demand, good jobs. I mean, it's basically pretty simple. And the three markets we're in, because we knew them so well, just happen to have those things, you know?
Yeah. I see Dallas. I mean, I have a lot of students who are in Dallas right now, and cap rates are compressing. I mean, everyone's coming from California into the Dallas market. Can you speak a little bit about that market and what's going on there? Because, I mean, cap rates are like 5 and 6 for B assets, and it's such a huge market that you really have to know the sub-market. So I haven't even ventured there. But can you speak a little bit about that market?
Well, yeah, it's funny. Dallas is huge as a land as the mass of a city, and really it's the DFW metroplex. So it's Dallas, Fort Worth. They've morphed into one big area. I keep telling people that pretty soon Dallas is going to be in Oklahoma because all the outskirts are just growing together and the highways are connecting everything. It is a massive, massive market. And just as you said, there are probably a dozen different submarkets in the DFW metroplex. We play in 5 or 6 of them, and that's it. We don't try and master all of them because it's just too massive of an area, especially when you're managing the asset on the backside. I mean, that's the key to all this. And so Dallas is appreciating very quickly. I think it's estimated that it'll grow by 80,000 people this year, which is just massive influx of people. They're building apartments faster there than they're building single family homes, and there's still not enough demand. They haven't reached the tipping point where they built more than than the demand is for. So, I think it's a phenomenal market for an experienced investor to go into, but an inexperienced investor can get eaten for lunch in that particular market right now because it's just moving so quickly and changing so fast.
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, do you have your own portfolio of homes yourself, or is it just everything? Oh, so you do. So you have your own portfolio, and then you have your. What was your first deal that you bought? I mean, after that Memphis, after that house you bought, flipping. What was your first deal?
Yeah, so I bought. I made the mistake back in 2003, 2004 of going really, really cheap. I bought just a bunch of dirt cheap crap.
You buying Michael Orr's house?
I'm telling you, man, and worse. Okay, yeah, I was buying this stuff because I didn't know any better, and I wasn't experienced enough yet. And to be fair, my father, none of us knew yet the real value that we had, and so we thought the value was the return. And, we were buying these little cheap pieces of crap that on paper we could get really super high returns on. The reality was that in the end we couldn't. As soon as there was any economic collapse or any pressure, from the economic side, the houses went vacant. They got torn up and destroyed. I spent so much money and lost so much money on these really, really cheap piece of crap homes and spent a ton of years digging out of a hole that I dug for myself. But I started. And I use that word a lot as a way to educate people. I started cheap. I went for these, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 piece of crap houses, and it was an absolute disaster early on. But it was good. It really taught me, and it taught us as a company what we didn't want to do. So
within the 5 last years, how has your investment strategy changed within these last 5 years? Because I know back in 2010, single families were really cheap, 30, 40 cents to the dollar. So how have you changed in the last 5 years?
Well, I will tell you guys that we, as a company, my own philosophy as an investor has changed, even as we as a company have changed. That I tell people all the time, we don't sell houses anymore. That we are the assets that we're buying. And I'll explain that as I go through this. The assets we're buying are definitely on the upper end. We're buying a much, much better home. And I tell people all the time, it's not because it's what's best for the investor. It's because it's what's best for us as a company managing on the back end. That the better homes in better neighborhoods, we're doing exceptionally high level renovation, almost retail level renovation, without some of the really high-end finishes. We skip some of the high-end finishes because you just don't get the return on the rent. But beyond that, we're doing really high-level renovations, and we get an average length of stay in a house close to 5 years. The reason why we do that is that then I have to have fewer people and use fewer assets, time and money to be able to manage that portfolio for an investor. So it ends up being a better way for me to run my company, and it ends up being a better investment for the investor on the backside. That's the biggest change that we've made, is that we don't do cheap. We don't defer maintenance. I'm not interested in doing business with an investor that doesn't value the high level of service that we bring to the equation. And so we've really tried to separate ourselves as a company, saying that I don't battle for 100% of the investor market space. I battle for that little 5%, and I'm not fighting anybody. There's no one else going for it. I go for the investor that really, really values their own time. They value what we do, and they say, I want a hassle-free, headache-free, very secure investment. But I'll tell you on the backside too, I don't apologize for the return, because a true cash-on-cash return with us, without leverage, they're going to make about 5.5% to 7.5% on their investment annual. And if they lever it, they can make about 10. For us, that is commiserate with what we bring to the table, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver. I'm going to tell you this is what you're going to get, but it's going to be real. And you're going to have a good asset that you could sell 5, 7, 10 years from now and get your money back. So,
and it sounds like low turnover costs because you're keeping them in the unit so long, which I think is tremendous. Because in the multifamily space, that's our biggest killer. Because you're turning people over so much. So that's one of the big advantages that I see if if we were ever to play in your space, is that you can keep people in butts and seats longer, which is great.
If you do it right, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that now that we're managing so many properties, we've learned so much about residents and what they're looking for. The only reason why somebody moves out of a single family home anyway is that they've had a bad experience. Either the rent is getting too high and the service doesn't match it, or they can't get a management company or a landlord to call them back or do anything to fix the property. So for us, we were like, I mean, this is so sorry.
You're good, man.
All right.
You're good.
We were like, for us, let's fix these two issues. Let's just cover up the residents with a very good experience from the very beginning. Let's answer the phones. Let's call them back after maintenance issues and make sure they're satisfied and happy.
That is huge. We're all over that. I love that, man. I love that. You got to call them back and make sure their service was good. You got to do it.
Yes, that's how you keep them. If you will just, it's so funny how low the bar is, even for you guys in multifamily, how low the bar is to perform above. And if you can perform above it, all your numbers can improve. So that's what we figured out. We figured out the longer length of stay, I need fewer people to manage. And when you're offering an investor a consistent return that's real, it doesn't have to be sky high. The only reason why they want sky high is because they're building in all the numbers for thinking that it's not real. Yeah. For us, it's like, this is what it's going to be. But you're paying for it. You're getting it.
Our goal is really, we want to be like the Chick-fil-A of the apartment industry. We want that consistent product, and we want good customer service time and time in. He picks on me because I always say this, but listen, if you can deliver a good product and it's the same consistent product, we're the only property management company that I know. We have a certified inspector go in and check each one of our units before we hand it over to the tenant, because we want that consistent same product for everybody that comes in, and we want a smile on your face. We get off our ass, greet you at the door when you come in to the office. It's that kind of stuff that is going to separate you. So,
yes. I agree. I could not agree with you more. And we have a
Gino's laughing at me over here because I always talk about this, but he's whatever.
The Chick-fil-A thing, bro. You kill me.
It's real though. So I mean, listen.
He's the one who said, True Cathy's the one who said that if you concentrate on getting better every day, your clients will demand you get bigger. And so many people, they concentrate on doing more and getting bigger. And the long-term play, the companies or investors, whatever you want to say, that survive long-term are the ones that concentrate on getting better. Mm-hmm. Because bigger is a natural occurrence of concentrating on getting better.
How are you finding these deals? Guys are always in the multifamily space. They don't believe us. It's all about broker connections with us. Is it different in the single family space?
No, man. So back during the crash, we never backed out of a contract. That's one thing that we always say. If we put our name on it, we're buying it. And we built an impeccable reputation inside the broker community. So I would say 70% to 75% of what we buy today is either off the MLS or directly from real estate brokers, real estate agents. And we have a phenomenal reputation. We will win contracts, and it often happens where we're not the highest price, but we're the strongest contract.
Closer.
Yeah, yeah. And we don't put all the bullshit. We don't put all the stuff in about ways to get out of a contract. We don't put all the outs and all the the crazy language that says I can go to the closing table and back off and not. We don't do any of that. We say, look, this is it. We know what we need to buy, and our prices are generally strong. I mean, low. We want a good, strong price.
Yeah, but when you're coming in and they know you're a closer, it makes a difference because they know the deal's getting done. They don't gotta mess around with the crap. I'm with you, man. I know it.
They're getting paid.
Yep.
They're getting paid. That's right.
Get the deal done.
Yeah.
I guess let me ask you, what is your best real estate investing tip for the listeners?
It's funny. I've got two of them that kind of dovetail together. So I'm a big believer in, especially in a professional environment, like when you're going to talk to a bank or you're going in to buy a home or you're going in to negotiate a deal, you dress the way you want to be addressed. I can't tell you the number of people that I know that they just go to, and I'm not saying you have to wear a 3-piece suit, nothing like that, but I'm saying if you want to be ragtag and be viewed ragtag and have difficulty closing deals, then don't show respect to who you're doing business with. Dress in your flip-flops and your torn-up jeans or whatever you want to – I mean, do whatever you want to do. That's fine. But for me, I go somewhere and people know that I'm there for real. If I go to meet with somebody in a professional environment, I'm going to match the environment I'm in. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I see people that want to be independent and be whether it's an entrepreneur or real estate investor, they don't.
The Zuckerberg effect. You're not doing the flip-flops and the hoodie?
No. I don't do Zuckerberg. And again, it's just the other thing, and it goes right along with being professional, is inspect what you expect. And anybody listening right now, I mean, that's something to write down. And that means that you constantly are reviewing your expectations of your team, of your contractors, of your residents, whomever you come in contact with and you go into contract to do business with, you're constantly inspecting what you expect. And as soon as you don't, you've set a new expectation. I tell people all the time, there's really, and it's going to sound funny, this is going to be like a third best tip. There's only two ways to do anything, and that's the right way and again. That's it. And if you accept anything less than that, then you've just set a new expectation with, in this case, let's say a vendor that's painting a house. And if you accept a sloppy job with paint on the ceilings and paint on the floors, and you can see brush marks, and you just know it's crap, and you don't hold that expectation that you have, then it's over. You've just set the new expectation with that vendor, and that's the biggest mistake.
Our whole thing is if these guys are giving 80% and they're not giving 100% and they're half-assing it, we just cut ties and we're done. Because it's just not worth it, because it's going to lower the quality of your product, and it's going to make such a headache for you. And you're touching on painters, man. In the beginning, painters were the bane of my existence, because it's just I don't know what it is out of any contractor, but they are just like, they're all on like drugs, and they're just they're so inconsistent. So it's like finding you got to love on that good painter when you find them, because man, it's just we burnt through so many, and it's ridiculous, but.
I find that so many professionals out there, whether they're whatever trade they're in, that they want to be respected, and they want to know what the accountability is. Yeah, what I mean. Once they know what you want, they can always negotiate a price if they think, well, you're not paying me enough to get it done. Like, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with somebody knowing the value of their work. Yep. But I'm not fine with somebody saying, I can paint this wall for $200 or I can paint it for $50. Which job do you want? You want the crap or you want the right one?
I'm with you.
Nope. So
I was guilty of that transgression for the first 15 years of being in the restaurant business. My restaurant, I accepted, and I was always raised that you got to be there, you got to kill yourself, you got to do it all yourself, and that's how I was raised old school by my dad. He's an immigrant from Italy, so he sort of had that limiting belief where if they don't give it all, you've got to pick up the slack. And that was the wrong thing. We would say I was swallowing a lot of shit in the first 15 years of my business, and that is the wrong way to do it, bro. And you will not grow. You're going to languish in life. You're going to say, what's going on? It's not you. People around you are seeing what you're doing, and you're letting it slide. And if you don't take that responsibility and get rid of them and set the tone, I learned it. It took me a few years, but I learned it. But I think that's a really, really important point. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
What would you say your best habit for success is? Just in general, something you do on a daily basis that's helped you out over the years.
Yeah, man. I read a lot. And it's not, I don't constantly read self-help and I don't constantly read how-to, but I do read a lot of that stuff. I just like to learn. And so I've never stopped learning. I don't always necessarily apply it. Like I read a book recently. It was about metaphysics, and it was not exactly the greatest of topics, but it was really interesting read for me. And it's not like I'm going to do anything with it. It was good. It kept my mind sharp. I was able to take some notes and pull some things out of it, write on some little cards that I liked. And I try and read a lot. I probably read a book every 2 weeks, and that's just one of those habits that. And let me tell you, when it gets too heavy, when I got too much going on, I'll go for something a lot lighter. I'll go for some good fiction. But just the same, I try and read and keep my mind sharp. So you and Gino got that one in common for sure. So what book would you recommend that someone out there that's trying to get started in business? Give us a book that you recommend that said this is going to make an impact on your life. There's a book by Frank McKinney called Make It Big. And I've read it a number of times over and over and over again. Now, it was written, I think, back in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. And Frank McKinney's a real estate developer down in South Florida, and an entrepreneur and a philanthropist and pretty much everything else at this point. But it was just a really good book. It was 49 secrets to having I don't forget the tagline, but 49 secrets or habits to a successful, being a successful life. And I just try and read it every year. It's one of those books I can pull off my bookshelf and I can just open it up and always find one of those 49 tips. It's like, man, that's just what I needed right now. And so I love that book. And I do try and read it every single year.
What's the big takeaway for folks reading that book? What's the one thing that they're going to get from it?
Well, there's two for me. One is, the first one is that there's always a way. And that's a sentence.
I love that.
I mean, I keep that sentence in front of me constantly, that there's always a way. And the second thing that and I don't know that Frank necessarily says it in there, but it's just that's the mentality I pull from that.
Takeaway.
Gosh, yeah. Yes. And but one of the very specific tips is take time for yourself. We as men and husbands and fathers and business owners, we're constantly bombarded with this image that there's this guilt for going off and doing things on our own and being on our own and spending time for whatever you want to call it, recharge or whatever. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it's a tip that I haven't always taken to heart, but when I do, it pays off in spades, man. It's big that I just take time for me and me alone to develop, to be quiet, to go camping, to go. I don't hunt a lot, but I can just. Whatever is the thing that you need to do it for yourself unapologetically, because it's going to make you a better man on all levels through the rest of your life. So if you're not spending time, kind of evaluating and getting a little bit better on your own, it's going to impact you later. And so
that's cool. Gino, you read that one?
I have not. I'm just
whoa! This is like the first or second time on the show. This is like stumping the granddaddy here. This is cool.
Well,
I like this.
The thing is, Chris, you have 5 kids, so I have 6, and we homeschool the kids and all. And for me, that's probably one of the biggest struggles for me is just even the guilt, because you want to spend an equal amount of time with all the kids, and as the kids get older, you really have to sit there and really mentor them and really be part of it. And I want them to be part of the business. So for me, my wife's stay-at-home mom. So for me, I feel guilty sometimes leaving, and can never leave. She's 24/7. She's Superwoman. So for me, I've struggled with that. It's struggled for me to get some time away. So that resonates with me also. I do need some time off. But yeah, I know.
It's one of those things that when you just flip it, and even if it can be 2 days. It can just be, I just need, and it doesn't have to be a weekend. It can just be, but I need to get away for this time period. Put the phone down, put the computer away, take a book and a journal, whatever it is that you need. But here's the deal. When you just make the mind shift of, I'm a better dad I'm a better businessman. I'm a better husband when I'm clear on who I am, what I need to be doing, what I need to be focused on. I've got my strength up, my energy up, my focus up, and those things. It's hard to work on all that when you're in the middle of the daily life. So, that's one of the things that Frank talked about that he does every single year, normally at the beginning of the year, and he does these exercises of, writing down his goals. And I don't, I differ. I kind of take a different path when it comes to some of that stuff. But the basic premise of get away, get your focus, because you're a better person in every aspect of your life when you come back. So
there's an ROI on it, basically, is what you're saying. So
huge, man, huge. And then pretty soon you realize that the guilt was misplaced. That you should have felt guilty for not being your best all the time because you were never taking that time to go out.
I think it's actually lack of self-awareness is what you're saying.
That's a good point. That's a great way to put it. Yes, sir.
You're being lack of self-aware that you need this to be the best that you can be. So that's awesome, man. I love that. Let's turn it back to real estate a little bit. What was your best deal and why? People love hearing the stories of when someone really hit one out of the park.
My best deal, I didn't hit out of the park. I lost a lot of money on it. And I call it my best deal. It's one that I always talk about because it taught me so much about myself, about data, about the real estate business in general. It was a home that I was doing in Colorado, and I had a very good friend that was an investor already, and he got his real estate license so that if he bought or sold property, he could save on the commissions. So I went into a partnership with him in business. In hindsight, I didn't need a partnership. I didn't need someone else to give me data. I needed to be surrounding myself with professionals that knew what they were doing, that could give me good and clear advice and good and clear data, that had no skin in the game. But instead, fear drove me to choose a partner. I figured if I had a partner and I lost, well, I'd lose with somebody else and I wouldn't feel as bad about it.
Uh-huh.
And so we did a house in Denver, and look, I mean, it was a big 6-figure loss for us. And it was because he didn't have the experience to accurately look at the comps and the data. So he didn't know that he was comping the house out wrong. And I sure didn't know. We literally were 2 blocks, 50 yards away from the comps being accurate. But those 2 blocks made a huge difference in the comparable sales. And so we probably overpaid by over $100,000 on the home. We were doing a massive renovation to the house. Neither one of us had any experience with contract negotiations, contractor negotiations, holding people accountable. We had none of this. And we ended up hiring the wrong contractor. It was a do-it-yourself kind of guy, very slow. What should have been a 60-day process ended up taking 8 months, which that doesn't necessarily matter. But at the time, those 8 months kept us from getting the property on the market at the right time of year. So every mistake that we could have made, we made. Poor data, choosing a partner, choosing a friend to be my partner instead of a professional that knew what they were doing. Each one of us would have been so much better doing things on our own rather than doing them together. And we wanted the partnership in case we lost, and we lost our ass. We got what we were looking for. And since then, I have not partnered with anybody on a particular deal at all. I have completely trusted those that know more than me about a particular niche or about, looking at data and reviewing data. And I've learned a lot since then myself, but I still rely on those whose expertise is that particular piece to give me what I need. And I don't partner anymore. I don't lose money anymore on deals. And that's why, for me, I say it's the best deal I ever did, because it taught me so much about the kind of investor I needed to be or not be.
So this is the first time that we've met, obviously, but I got a nickname for you. And it's Mr. Big Picture ROI, because your best deal taught you something and served you down the road, and your favorite book taught you something and served you down the road. So you're Mr. Big Picture ROI here. So you can run with that one. We can let it stick.
Mr. Big Picture ROI. Wait, I'm writing that down. I got it.
I got that too, baby. Wow. Big Picture ROI. I do like that.
So last question for you here. What project are you excited about right now?
I am. This is obviously you want real estate, right? Because I've got something that's not real estate related.
Hey man, we're doing pasta sauce right now, so you can talk about something else if you want. But
I hear you, brother. So I love speaking. I love writing. Obviously, as a reader, I love writing books, and so I've written a couple of books in the real estate space, and they haven't been published yet. So I've got them ready to rock and roll. But I've got a new book that I'm working on. I'm 44. Like we said earlier, I got 5 kids. I realize I don't have a lot of time left to do some really big things that are, as you just said, big picture ROI. So I chose to do a ultra marathon this year, and I've been training for it. It comes up in May, and it's a 100-mile ultra marathon through the Florida Keys. And the reason why I chose it is that I wanted something that was so big and such a challenge mentally, especially. Like, could my mind outlast 100 miles? That I had to break it down into small pieces. I had to hire a coach, a professional that I would have to listen to and help me get through it. And it was something that I wanted so badly that I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't quit. And so the book that I'm writing is talking about, whether it's entrepreneurship or real estate or anything, it's not about setting goals and having vision. It's about choosing your most want. I mean, the thing that when you choose it, you will not give it up. When you know what it is, you will not give it up. It's going to eat you alive until you'll reach it or you accomplish it. And I'm jacked. I am so excited for this race. And it's going to take me, I mean, we're talking physically running for somewhere between 20 to 24 hours straight. But I think that the mental preparation, the physical preparation, it's the exact challenge that I needed in my life to be better at everything. And wow. So that's what I'm most excited about right now.
That's called your massively transformative purpose. Peter Diamandis talks about it. So your MTP. So, wow, that's
Chris,
24 hours.
When you get down to Key West, if you see Jimmy Buffett holding out a cup, don't grab it because it's not water. It's going to be like a margarita, and that's going to hold you back. So you got to be careful there, okay? Just watch out for that.
Hey, let me tell you, man, I've read that when you're out on the course, you don't give two you-know-whats for what it is. You'll just take it. Like, you're so damn hot, like, I don't care. Just give it to me. Pour it over my head. It doesn't matter. I'll take it.
That's awesome, man. So, what's how can listeners get a hold of you, and what would be good? You know, obviously you're taking on investors and things. What's the best way to get a hold of you and the company?
Yeah, man. So right at our website, which is memphisinvest.com. That's the best way to reach us. It tells the family story. It gives an investor a way to take action if they want to download a what we call a quick start package, which is a bunch of videos and things from me that kind of explain who we are and what we do. That's perfectly fine. It's right there on the homepage. But that's the best way. When an investor comes to do business with us, they want to do business with us. They'll know if it's the right fit, and we'll know if it's the right fit. So it's simple, man. We'll make this easy. If they want to go to Memphis Invest, check out who we are, check out our story, check out our team, and then if it's a good fit, take that next step. And if it's not, it's okay. It's good. You got some good information on there.
Absolutely. So that's really awesome. Appreciate everything. And to the listeners out there, we want to say always thank you for making the Wheelbarrow Profits podcast the #1 multifamily podcast on iTunes. If you guys found value in the show, please go on, give us a like, leave us a review. And Chris, let's do this again sometime, and we can get feedback on the Jimmy Buffett marathon there, man. So
you got it. I would love to do that. I appreciate the support, guys. That's cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate
Take care,
the time.
Chris.
Have a great rest of the day.
We trust that you enjoy the Wheelbarrow Profits podcast. Visit jakeandgino.com, your one-stop shop for everything multifamily. See you next time when Jake and Gino share more of their investing secrets with you.